Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. And this might be kind of impromptu, but I was thinking about this the other day, and I was thinking that what games would I want to see come out for the Switch? Like I was just thinking to myself, because there's certain games that I've specifically been like, I wish they would port that to the Switch or remake that for the Switch. And every time, it's just kind of been like, they've done that. Or the things they have put it, I'm glad Mario Maker finally made it. Like, most of the things I wanted to be on the Switch are now on the Switch, including Mario Maker and Smash Brothers. But there are still some things that I really want to see ported, remade, or just sequels to in general. So, obviously I'm a massive Mario fan. We need to talk about Mario. So, the shoe-in, which everyone seems to be saying, is Mario Odyssey 2, especially now that Breath of the Wild 2 was announced. Now, I'm not crazy excited for Breath of the Wild 2. I'll definitely be playing it when it comes out. I don't feel like I can really get too hyped until I know more about the game. I don't really have any information about Breath of the Wild 2, other than it's a sequel to Breath of the Wild, and it's going for a dark tone. Now, yeah, that's cool and all. I like Majora's Mask and Twilight Princess. Going for a dark tone is a good mood, but the original Breath of the Wild felt kind of lacking to me. If you want to call games like Wind Waker the lighter toned Zelda games, go ahead, but Breath of the Wild didn't feel like that. Breath of the Wild's story was incredibly boring and lackluster. One thing they did positively was Champions, I will say that to myself. Now, I'm not saying Breath of the Wild is a bad game, far from it. I have a giant poster of it right here. I love Breath of the Wild, and it's the game that got me into Zelda. But in terms of being into it the whole way, I can't really say that I'm super compelled story-wise for sequel. Everyone's talking about the characters and Zelda's haircut and all this stuff, which I don't really feel very important. So, whatever. At the end of the day, Mario Odyssey 2 would be cool. It could kind of just be more of the same. Breath of the Wild, I have a bigger issue with it being more of the same, because that game was revolutionary, that game is huge, and I'm a little bit worried we're getting a Mario Galaxy 2 situation. Mario Galaxy 2 is a fantastic game, don't get me wrong, but in terms of, oh, we had too many DLC ideas and we decided to do it. So, but Mario Odyssey, I feel like can get away with this a little more, just do some more worlds and themes, and that would just be fun. Do something with the plot, but Mario plots don't need to be complicated, so rehashing isn't really an issue. I would definitely like to see more worlds in the vein of Odyssey's worlds, but some more interesting different locations, because obviously we kind of had some basic worlds. Mario Odyssey was a celebration of Mario Odyssey was the celebration of all Mario games, and they stayed pretty close to the themes, kind of like Super Mario 64 did, pretty basic with the themes. Obviously, you'll have certain types of levels that are going to show up in every Mario game, snow, desert, water, etc. But I really liked the idea of New Donk City, and I really want to them to expand on that. So if Mario Odyssey 2 were to come out, I would really love to see a level based on another city. We also had, like, the dojo in the Bowser level, and, there was, of course, Moon Gravity, and, of course, Cascade Kingdom with the waterfalls and stuff. I really like that, and Luncheon Kingdom was also really creative, so I definitely think you could do some more themes around, like, regular stuff. Like, Luncheon Kingdom is all about cooking and kitchen stuff. I could totally vibe with a living room world. That sounds really weird, but ROM hacks have done it. Hey, it's not completely out of the question. We have Ribbon Road and Mario Kart 8 with the bedroom, the, like, child's bedroom. So it's definitely not out of the question. Of course, I could be like Nathaniel Bandy here and be like, big house world, but it would be actually really fun. I think a level based on Paris could be really fun. You could have, like, an Eiffel Tower type thing, all that. If you're gonna go American cities, LA is a good choice. Maybe Seattle, because Nintendo of America is based in Seattle. So there's a lot of interesting stuff that could go down there. I definitely would be very excited to see that. Mario Odyssey 2 is a really fun idea, and I would definitely be happy if it got announced. One last thing is that for the retro stage, and I'm going to be getting more into this in a bit, but for the retro stage, because, you know, of course we had Peach's Castle, Mushroom Kingdom from Mario 64, and with all the fan service and all that. And obviously Nintendo is acknowledging Mario Sunshine. They're acknowledging that game's existence. You got FLUDD, you got that little tweet, you got, you know, the Sunshine outfit in Odyssey. Nintendo's acknowledging Mario Sunshine's existence, so I think it would be fantastic to have an Odyssey level based on Delfino Plaza. That would just be awesome, and you could just do that. Maybe even one based on the Comet Observatory. I don't know about that, but I still think it could be really cool. So, without further ado, pretty good. Odyssey, I want it to be same as Odyssey 1 control-wise for the most part, maybe add a couple moves, but we're fine the way we are. Definitely add some new transformations to the mix, that would be another thing. But overall, Odyssey 2 is kind of a shoo-in at some point. Not necessarily getting it for the Switch or anytime soon, but probably getting it at some point, and I could dig that. But speaking of Mario Sunshine, out of all the 3D Mario games, Mario Sunshine is a game which deserves to be remade. And when I say remade, I don't mean just a simple port, I mean a remake. I'm pointing this out because I love Mario Sunshine, but I also hate it. I have a lot of issues with Mario Sunshine. It's very clearly unfinished. The game was rushed, and there's only 7 main worlds, which wouldn't be a huge deal, but the mission count is severely lacking, and there's a lot of filler shines in the game. There's a lot of filler secret shines, and there's a lot of red coin shines. Now, I don't really mind the filler content that is there in Mario Sunshine. Red coin shines are usually different enough in the secret stage that it doesn't really feel like filler to me. Blue coins are really fun to collect, but they do need some sort of map system or at least an indicator of which ones you've already collected. They definitely need some sort of map or maybe some sort of radar system, some sort of audio cue or visual cue to, like, where the blue coins are, some better hints for some more cryptic ones. I do think they're really fun to collect, but some of them are just so cryptic for my own liking in the original game. Again, red coin shines don't really bother me, but I do think it would be great to add some new regular stages. Basically kind of do what Mario 64 DS did, but first of all in HD, and second of all add some actual new stages. I think some of the Delfino stuff is a little bit of filler, and definitely add at least 2 or 3 more big levels, and maybe cut some of the filler missions, and bring the star count up to like 150 or something. I think that would be fantastic. Now, even if they want to remake the existing game and not really add anything, if they just want to do better controls and fix some of the issues like they did with some of the Zelda remakes, I'm fine with that. But seriously, what is it, Nintendo, with all these Zelda remakes and no Mario remakes? I'm not saying the Zelda remakes aren't cool and all that. I'm just saying, was Twilight Princess HD really necessary? Like, I'm not shading it. I've never played Twilight Princess HD. I've only played it on the Wii. But it kind of feels like it's fine on the Wii. The game has issues, but I can't imagine the HD version really fixed all of those issues. The issues are with the core design of the game and dungeons being too long, in my opinion, and stuff like, yeah, they cut some of the Tears of Light, but most of them were not in places that really mattered, and all in all, my issues with Twilight Princess I don't really think would have been fixed in the HD version, with the exception of the motion controls. I don't mind the motion controls in Twilight Princess in terms of, like, swinging your sword or whatever, but I'm talking about the fishing. I fucking hate the fishing in Twilight Princess on the Wii, but that's completely beside the point. And if you're really annoyed about that, you can just play the GameCube version. So, again, I don't really know why anyone would spring for Twilight Princess HD. I guess if my dad wants his own copy. Wind Waker, I understand why they wanted to fix some of that game, and I understand why they felt the need to remake Ocarina of Time Majora's Mask. They did that on the 3DS, and those are nice games to now have on the go. I'll be getting back to Zelda in a minute, but for now, I have to say that Mario Sunshine deserves an HD remake more than any other Mario game. Yeah, Mario 64 would be nice, but honestly, Mario 64 in its base format, being a little bit dated and clunky, it's still an extremely solid game. Mario 64 is one of those games you don't really mess with the classics. Now, if they wanted to do an enhanced version of Mario 64 DS with all the characters and new stages and stuff, but with some actual 360 analog movement, I would definitely appreciate that. But all in all, Sunshine is the game I want to see remade. I think Sunshine has way more issues than 64. So most of 64's issues are just chalked up to age. Sunshine, again, has so many fundamental flaws. And they definitely need to fix some things about that game. Replace some of the filler, patch some of the glitches, update graphics and textures, and of course, add some new stages. That's my opinion. Now, speaking of Mario, everybody knows I'm a massive Galaxy fan. You're probably going to say Mario Galaxy 3. It would be fantastic. I would love to see it, but something kind of makes me doubt that's going to happen. I feel like Odyssey 2 is way more likely than Galaxy 3. I would love a Galaxy 3, but the Galaxy games are kind of shorter. Now, after Odyssey, releasing a new Galaxy game would feel kind of anticlimactic for a lot of people. You have a 120-star, 242-star adventure after a game where you can get 999 moons. Like, it's just gonna feel really anticlimactic. And it's unfortunate because I would absolutely dig a Galaxy 3. But again, the original Galaxy games were on the Wii. And I just wouldn't feel quite in tandem with it if it was released on the Switch. Now, I think again, some levels based on that in Odyssey 2 would be really cool. If they were going to remake a Galaxy 3, I think it'd be really cool for them to, like, do HD remakes of the Galaxy games. I know they're only as far back as the Wii generation, but they did Twilight Princess HD, so I don't see why they can't do Mario Galaxy HD and Mario Galaxy 2 HD. They should release them together. If those did well, then maybe market a third game, but it would need to be a bit longer to hold people's interest. So, all in all, as much as I love Mario Galaxy 1 and 2, Mario Galaxy 3 isn't something I'm really counting on or all too crazy about. Before I depart from Mario here, one more thing I desperately want to see is a new 2D Mario that's not New Super Mario Brothers. Like, I know Mario Maker's great and all, I'm not trying to put that game down, that game is fantastic, but it's more of a creator tool, it's not a 2D Mario game. Yeah, it is. It does have a great story mode, Mario Maker 2 on the Switch, good story mode and all that, but that's not what I'm talking about. It's still a mishmash of levels from different styles. Yeah, the story mode's cool and all, and I'm not demanding a complex 3D Mario game, but I want a cohesive, consistent art style for something like a 2D Mario game. That's all I want. I want something preferably sprite-based, doesn't have to be, but definitely a deviation from the new Soup art style, and I just really, really want to see that. Now, this is a bit of a stretch, but now that they've done 3D World in 2D, I could definitely see them making a game like that in that style. Speaking of 3D World, Nintendo, please port it. I don't understand why they haven't ported this particular Wii U game to the Switch. They ported, like, so many Wii U games to the Switch, even ones that were, like, way less popular than 3D World stuff, like Captain Toad or, different things, Pokken, Donkey Kong Country, things that they ported over from a Wii U, which is fine and dandy, I'm not complaining, but they really need to port Mario 3D World over to the Wii U, because, over from the Wii U to the Switch, because trust me, I would play the shit out of it. I love Mario 3D World. It's not as good as Odyssey, yeah, but I would definitely play the shit out of it. Now, in my opinion, all I really need is a basic port. I'm not begging for more content, maybe, like, one new character or something, but, maybe, like, I don't know, Mario or Waluigi, I don't know. I'm not begging for new content, I just literally want them to port it. Like, New Super Mario Bros. Deluxe didn't really have much new content, and a lot of people complained about that, but I just want them to port 3D World. I just want it available on modern platforms, that's all. Anyway, Mario 3D World is definitely something that needs to be ported. Now, it would be really cool to bring in some 3D Land stages, or even a full-on remake of that game, but I'm not banking my bucks on it. Anyway, so that's about all I have to say for Mario. Moving on to Zelda, like I said I would. I have to say, that, it's just kind of interesting to see something like Breath of the Wild 2 get announced. Again, I'm not complaining. Breath of the Wild 2 is definitely something I will be playing. Super excited. But, again, we'll just kind of have to see how that goes. I mean, I have this, like, snazzy Legend of Zelda phone case right here, but, Breath of the Wild 2 is something that, yes, it will be amazing, I'm sure, but, it just kind of feels like it's going to be more of the same. Now, in terms of Zelda games, I'm not really asking for any new Zelda games other than Breath of the Wild 2. Now, for Breath of the Wild 2, some things I would like to see are more traditional dungeons, more variants in shrine and dungeon designs, because all of them look the same, and it's quite frankly annoying, more interesting boss battles, and a better and more compelling story. That's all. Okay, but to be real here, Breath of the Wild is a fantastic game, but also some significant tweaks to the map. I don't want it to basically be the same map repurposed. They need to make a new map. just, yeah, I would totally dig Breath of the Wild 2. I'm excited, but, and again, the stories of Champions are really good, and dungeons are really well designed, but again, all of them look the same, and it's kind of annoying. Then, of course, we have, the shrines, again, 120, they all look the same. I do want them to bring back shrines, maybe not as many, but shrines are really cool. I could definitely dig it if they brought back shrines. But I would like some art variety. This isn't really asking much, but, like, maybe walk into a shrine and it's, like, pink inside. Like, I don't know. Maybe that's outlandish, but at least do, like, a lighter color stone or, like, a brick design or something. Having the exact same blue wall shrine for every single one gets really annoying really fast. Take a page out of stuff like Skyward Sword or some of the other games. Even Twilight Princess dungeons look different, and that's a game that's dark as fuck, but, yeah, just go with that. Every dungeon in the older Zelda games felt distinct. If you think Ocarina of Time, you think distinctly certain dungeons. Something that I would really want to see in Breath of the Wild 2 is more dungeons themed around specific things. They're all kind of the same mechanical rune puzzles. By the way, runes absolutely have to return. Runes are so amazing. I want runes in every future Zelda game, at least the 3D ones. Although, actually, runes in 2D Zelda could be really cool. But, I do want more shrines. Or not more shrines, but more dungeon themes. Like, I want a dungeon actually themed around lava or actually themed around ice. Like, basic dungeon themes that aren't that hard to make. I know everybody likes to complain about, oh my god, water dungeons or ice dungeons, and it's just kind of like, yeah, but like, I was missing that. Breath of the Wild 2, please let us swim. Please give us some way of diving underwater. Is this too much to ask? I don't understand how in the original Breath of the Wild there is no way of diving or swimming. There's no iron boots, there's no anything like that. And, Breath of the Wild already has a ton of cloves that change your stats. And, in terms of things like climbing gear and, various clothes, rubber boots to help you with shock resistance and all that. And you have to open a menu to access them. I don't see people complaining about this, and yet for some reason in Ocarina of Time, everybody is bitchy about the iron boots. I don't think the iron boots are great in Ocarina of Time. It takes forever to sink to the bottom of the floor, and you don't really have control over it. They're way better in Twilight Princess. I like them being a C-button item, but Breath of the Wild actually has weapon hotkeys with the D-pad. I think it's fantastic. I would love to see implementation of something like a clothing menu. But even then, it's okay without it. It still works. Nobody complains about having to open the menu to heal or put clothes on in Breath of the Wild. Nobody complains about this. And it really annoys me how many people complain about Ocarina of Time because of that one mechanic. I've said this on my streams before, but Twilight Princess dungeons are basically take the Water Temple philosophy. Water Temple is incredibly well designed, but I'm getting off track. Anyway, back to Breath of the Wild 2. Again, some different architectural styles, even if they all look the same on the outside, the shrines. I would like to see some, different colors or something different to look at on the inside of the shrines. The puzzles themselves are great, but I'm talking about the shrines themselves. I'm not saying every single shrine is to be unique, but I do want to see, some variants. Another thing, in Breath of the Wild, again, we need to be able to swim or to sink. We need iron boots, we need some sort of, diving ability or something. There needs to be some sort of, I know that's really hard to code for a game that big, but I do think it needs to exist. I hope they bring back the Korok Forest, Lost Woods area, or something like that, because I really, really love it in Breath of the Wild. So, all in all, those are a few things that I would really, really enjoy seeing in a sequel. Again, the story needs to be better. The story in Breath of the Wild, there's not really a sense of urgency or, hey, I gotta deal with this, or there's impending doom. It's just kind of like, okay, you can go fight Ganon whenever you want, which is fine, and that is about the open-ended nature of the game. But, and I know linear games do this better, but I have to say, in something like Twilight Princess, which is a more linear game, by far, stuff will happen in the story that will surprise you. There will be events that happen as you're playing the main story, which, help the sense of urgency. Like, you go back to your village, you get the Iron Boots, you go back to Kakariko, everything's normal, and then Colin gets kidnapped. Spoilers if you haven't played Twilight Princess, but you don't even know who Colin is. So, anyway, when that happens, it's caught me off guard. I'm like, oh shit, there's evil in the world, I better go, you know, it motivates me. And in Breath of the Wild, we don't have anything like that. Like, nothing really changes or gets worse. I'm not saying we need a moon in the sky that's about to crash. I'm not saying we need that level of urgency. But the sense of something like Ocarina of Time would be change in the world as you progress in the story. And my phone just fell. There being a change in the world as you progress in the story. Like, hey, everything got way worse. I'm not saying, it needs some sort of turning point in the story where things get substantially worse, or you see things getting worse. There needs to be some sort of motivation drive other than, hey, there's evil, just go fight it whenever the heck you want. And I do understand why Breath of the Wild is structured that way story-wise, but it really bothers me. Also, I need explanations for timelines and how things fit in. Like, I'm sorry, but there weren't divine beasts during Ocarina of Time. I know I'm getting nitpicky, but the way the game describes how they sealed Ganon with the final blow and Zelda sealing Ganon, the way the game describes it sounds like the ending of Ocarina of Time, and there are divine beasts in that timeline. It's not a split timeline because Ocarina of Time, started the split. Now, I am more than willing to believe it's the reconvergence of all three timelines, absolutely, because there's no other logical explanation for how certain things like Bruto's a sage and Va Meadow and all that, and also Friendly Zora, and like there's no explanation for how all the timelines coexist other than that they merged. But I want some sort of explanation on how they merged. Like, I would really like to know. I'd also like a better explanation of how the Fallen Hero timeline came to be. I'd like Nintendo to work on that. So yeah, I definitely enjoy that. I dig it. It's a good game. Breath of the Wild, I dig it, but like, I need some more from Breath of the Wild too. Now, if it's just another solid, if it's basically Mario Galaxy Superstar, I mean, I'll still like it, but please do more with this game, Nintendo. I know you can. I hope they improve on some of the issues I had with the first game, as good as it is. Now, going back to other Zelda games. Everybody, of course, Nintendo's been really big about the Zelda remakes, and that's neat and all. Like, that's neat and all, and Nintendo's been really big about Zelda remakes. So I don't really think we need more remakes of Wind Waker or Twilight Princess. I really don't think, especially Twilight Princess, I can see why you would want another remake of Wind Waker, maybe because the Wii U, or just port Wind Waker HD to the Switch, because, again, the Wii U, you know, didn't sell well. So I think that would definitely work. So I could dig that. I could definitely dig that. But again, my issue is still just that I think people asking for these is a bit too much. Now, what I really, really want to see is, Skyward Sword. I really, really want to see this game remade. Skyward Sword, I haven't played a ton of it, but what I have played, I've enjoyed. I also haven't played a ton of Wind Waker Majora. I definitely will be getting on it. But from what I've played of Skyward Sword, it's really fun and solid, but I don't like the motion controls for flying, and one-to-one swordplay can be a bit iffy. But what I am going to say about Skyward Sword is that I do think people who liked motion control should have the option to use them. There should be a option to use them or not use them, considering the versatility of the Joy-Cons. Now, there isn't a ton of stuff they need to fix with Skyward Sword, mainly just some of the control issues, some of the padding, and the update the graphics to make them look really good, because the art style's nice. Also, tone down on the bright colors a bit. Parts of Skyward Sword for me feel very washed out, and I know they're going for that watercolor aesthetic, which is cool, but it feels too washed out to me, and it gets really annoying. I'm being honest here and just saying that, I'm just being honest, saying it gets washed out, it gets really annoying. To me, Skyward Sword is the anti-Twilight Princess in terms of art style, and, or at least color choice. And while Twilight Princess was so dark that I had to turn up the brightness on my TV, I feel like Skyward Sword is kind of washed out and a little bit bright in some ways. Breath of the Wild is perfect blending of this style, but that's beside the point. I think that Twilight Princess could, and Skyward Sword do have good art styles overall, but again, the color choice. Anyway, I think Skyward Sword deserves a remake on the Switch. Not much of an enhancement, just kind of like the HD ports of Wind Waker and Twilight Princess. It doesn't need to be a full-on remake or anything. Just add some conventional controls for flying and such, and fix some of the game's pacing issues, and update the graphics and textures. But please do a better job of it than you did of Twilight Princess, because from what I've seen of Twilight Princess HD, I'm not really a fan of it. It doesn't look that good to me. I'm not saying the original game is aged fantastically, but like, some of my issues of Twilight Princess art style and character models are not so much based on the textures being bad, it's based on the character models themselves not looking good. That's my opinion. But anyway, I would definitely dig a remake of Skyward Sword. Now, while we're talking about Zelda, of course I have to talk about Ocarina of Time because it's like one of my favorite games ever. Now, of course they remade it on the 3DS and the Majora's Mask as well. I know most people seem to like the Ocarina of Time remake. I've seen some people not like the Majora's Mask remake. I've never played the Majora's Mask remake. I played a little bit of the original Ocarina of Time. I've played a tiny bit of the remake before I got into it, but I don't have my 3DS anymore. So, and I'm not really into playing things handheld this way. So, while I would love an HD remake of Ocarina of Time, and while we're here, I just want to say, I don't want it to be, like, super insanely hyper-detailed graphics. Basically, if they remake an N64 game like Ocarina of Time or Mario 64, I want it to look like the modernized Mushroom Kingdom from Mario Odyssey. Like, still simple texture, still feels very in the spirit of the art style of Mario 64. But it still looks modern and good. I want to see something like that. I would totally dig that out of an Ocarina of Time remake, for it to look more like, you know, the concept art, and not so much, still keep it cartoony, don't make it look gritty realistic. Now, Twilight Princess has that covered. So, while I would love to see this, and of course I have to say I have to say one for Majora too. I haven't played enough of Majora to like really fall in love with it yet. It's still a really good game, don't get me wrong, but I'm just saying that the Majora fans, the rabid Majora fans are going to come at me, and I get that. But Majora's Mask, my opinion, while I do think N64 games either need to come to Switch Online or be released on the eShop for money, a la Virtual Console, and GameCube games as well, that needs to happen. Although I do think Game Boy games should be released on Switch Online for free. So anyway, that's unrelated. But I must say, my overall opinion on this stuff is just, I'm finding myself needing, Ocarina of Time on modern platforms. It's scary. It's scary to me because the only ways to play Ocarina Majora officially are either the 3DS versions if you have a 3DS, the original N64 version, and the GameCube versions, which are kind of pricey these days. Virtual Console if you own a Wii U, and if you already have it on the Wii or Homebrew, or a reproduction card. That's the only way to play them these days. And it's still kind of concerning to me that's a thing. Now, I know Nintendo's not going to let a game like that fall by the wayside, unfortunately. Like, I understand why they haven't remade something like Melee. Again, a lot of Melee fans are gonna come at me, but Smash Brothers is different from something like Ocarina of Time. Smash Brothers, each iteration is an evolution of last game. It's basically the same thing with more characters, more modes, and whatever. People are always going to have their preferred Smash Brothers game, and I get that. But if they remade Melee, the insanely purists would still have issues with whatever tweaks the controls had and literally everything. So at the end of the day, I understand why they don't remake something like that. Ocarina of Time is a game you're not going to let fall by the wayside because it's Ocarina of Time, because each Zelda game is a unique experience, more so than something like Smash Bros. Each Zelda game is a unique experience, and Ocarina of Time deserves to be released digitally on modern platforms. Now, I do think they will probably bring in 64 to Switch Online at some point, which is sweet. I'll just stick to my original N64 for Ocarina of Time, or the GameCube version when I ever decide to play Master Quest, which I will do at some point. But I would definitely be interested in playing some games that I haven't gotten to play if they added N64 games. And obviously they wouldn't be able to add the rare games and stuff. Maybe, though I do hear Microsoft is playing nice with Nintendo right now. But I'm saying, like, the NES games you don't have like Mega Man, you don't have like certain NES games on the Switch Online because of licensing issues. But those games are readily available in other formats, so I digress. But anyway, getting back to Ocarina of Time, something that I would really dig, and I don't know if Nintendo would do this or not, but they are already remakes, and I know Nintendo is saying, the Switch is not a replacement for the 3DS, you know, it's not like the Wii U, you know, the Switch is replacing the Wii U, but not the 3DS. And they said that for a really long time, and they kept releasing games for the 3DS. But now that the Switch Lite is coming out, and the 3DS is basically dead, because the only market that would still want the 3DS are the handheld-only people, now they're going to release the Switch Lite. So, unless you really like your 3DS, which is cool, you can keep it, but it's outdated, and, graphics aren't as good and stuff, so everyone's going to want to upgrade to the Switch Lite if they are handheld-only people and haven't gotten a Switch by now. Now, I'm just going to say that, because of this, I don't see why they couldn't bring over some 3DS games to the Switch. Now, I know that's a bit of a stretch. Of course, they ported a ton of Wii U games, so I could totally see them porting some 3DS games once, you know, the Switch Lite comes out and it gives a little time to settle. I don't see this happening, but I think it would be really neat of Nintendo to throw the 3DS remakes of Ocarina of Majora on the eShop for maybe $20 each. I think that would be a really good move for Nintendo. There are already remakes of games that are already existing, and of course the original versions need to be there. People swear by the original versions, including me. I love the original version of Ocarina. From stuff I've seen in 3DS, I don't really like the visuals all that much. Certain parts of it are definitely improved, but I don't like some of the animations. I don't like some of the lighting. They toned down some of the dark stuff. I stand by my gray cartridge with the red blood, the original Fire Temple music. That's what I stand by, because that's what I have. But anyway, I do definitely think that should be. I would just like them to throw those games onto the eShop for like $20 each. I would totally get them. I would totally get the remakes. Well, definitely Ocarina, maybe Majora at some point later. Because that's the type of remake. I would love to play Ocarina on 30 FPS and all that, but I want to play it on a big screen. I don't want to play it on a handheld. And that's just me. But again, they were handheld games, so because the Switch is also a handheld, I don't see why they can't port them over. I know certain things were on the touchscreen, were mapped to the touchscreen, but they can rework that for a controller. Something like Switch controls, there's way more. They can just map those additional items to the D-pad or whatever. They can totally do that, or the D buttons, whatever the Joy-Cons have. It's not an issue. Just throw it onto the eShop, Nintendo. Anyway, that was a long time talking about Zelda. But now I should probably talk about a couple other things that I would like to see. Well, there's not a lot. I mean, I'm mostly into Mario and Zelda, but, we're getting stuff like Animal Crossing, but some of the things that I would actually really like to see, come out. First of all, something that I would love to see is a new 2D Metroid. Now, I know they released a new 2D Metroid on the 3DS. Again, I don't have a 3DS anymore, and if they wanted to port that over, like they did, if they wanted to port that over via eShop or whatever, that's cool. I would dig. But what I'm saying, Samus Returns. But I'm not too big a fan of the art style from what I've seen of Samus Returns. I want a new 2D Metroid and, like, a really good art style, but maybe, like, sprite-based. Like, the 2D, 3D, the thing doesn't really work on Samus Returns from what I've seen. I would totally dig. Basically, I want something like Super Metroid, but, like, modern. Like, Super Metroid on its own is fantastic when I've played of it. I've never actually beaten it for whatever reason, but it's fantastic. But, I highly recommend checking out Super Metroid if you have never played. But a new 2D Metroid would be nice. It's not something I'm 100% clamoring for, but it would be awesome. Something in the vein of Super Metroid, or even something like a sequel. I mean, I would totally dig this. Now, I know everybody's clamoring, and I know Metroid Prime 4 is coming out, that's 3D Metroid, but I think 2D Metroid deserves to be kept alive, and I'm going to be brutally honest here. 2D Metroid is something that I prefer. I don't like 3D. I've never actually really played 3D Metroid, but I'm not a first-person shooter person. I don't really like first-person games, so I don't think Metroid Prime is my cup of tea. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it would absolutely blow me away if I decided to play it. If I ever see it cheap somewhere, I'll pick it up, but overall, not my cup of tea. The only other things I have to say is a new F-Zero and a new Star Fox, just because, even though I've never really intensively played either series, the fans, they deserve a new F-Zero, and they deserve a better Star Fox after Star Fox Zero. So, yeah. We'll stop. And the last game I want is Mario Kart 9. I know that's a shoo-in, but at least of Ultimate, Smash was fresh, like Smash 4. Okay, hear me out. Yes, they released Mario Kart 8 Deluxe on the Switch, and that's great. That came out in 2017, but the last official Mario Kart game outside of the mobile game they're releasing, which doesn't really count because, of course, they released a mobile Mario Run game and they still made Mario Odyssey, so that doesn't really matter. The last Mario Kart game they released on a console was Mario Kart 8 in 2014. The last from the ground up brand new console Mario Kart title. 2014. It's been a long time now. The gaps between Mario Kart games have been kind of long in the past, because we had the gap between Mario Kart Wii and Mario Kart 8, which was 8 years. So that was 8 years. So, it could be a little while before we see Mario Kart 9, but I think it needs to happen. There's been a Mario Kart in every generation of console, of Nintendo home console, pretty much. There's been a Mario Kart in every generation since the Super Nintendo. Now, again, I would totally see a Mario Kart 9. Now, there isn't, now, it's been exactly, I believe 5 years since last Mario Kart came out. So I could see a new Mario Kart coming out in probably next year at the earliest, probably getting announced next year, probably 2021 or 2022 at this point. But I want it to happen, and I really hope it will happen. Now, as for gameplay, there isn't too much I want, just like evolution, just kind of like an evolution of Mario Kart 8. I do want better original tracks. I don't think the tracks in Mario Kart 8 were all that great. 200cc needs to return. Bikes with wheelies need to return. Anti-grav return. All those features need to return. I think a double dash mode would be really cool. And for retro tracks, let me just say, please port the Wii Bowser's Castle and Coconut Mall and Toad's Factory is a track that needs to be ported. And Moonview Highway, please port Moonview Highway with anti-grav. Please. I would totally dig. So, not really too much I'm asking out of Mario Kart 9, but I definitely want it to happen. Anyway, guys, that's about it for what I want to see. Of course, there's other stuff that I would definitely be interested in, but those are the things that I'm really want to see in future Mario and Zelda titles, and a couple other things I threw on at the end. So, at the end of the day, nothing too crazy, but would definitely play all of those games. And I'm really hoping they'll decide to announce some of them soon. So, anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching the video. If you liked it, click like, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you all next time.